Hello again, this is Bill St. George. Welcome to another impression show. It's been quite a while since we've done anything in the studio. Bob, Pete, and myself are here today, and kind of nice out. It's about 40 degrees. It's February 1st, and we've been lucky so far this winter. Anyway, I'd like to first go over the background. I know it looks like an abstract painting, but it's done for a reason. I put some color randomly, and this canvas is probably have had it kicking around for a couple years, and every now and then I'll drag a new one out. And I haven't been working this size lately, but anyway, this is an acrylic background, and it's done just randomly, just taking complementary colors and putting them down. As you know, oil goes over acrylic, but definitely not the other way around. You know, the old water and oil trick just doesn't do it. I'm going to do a. We don't need a close up on this. Maybe we'll get. If I get a close up on it, then you'll say, it doesn't quite look like the photo. And that's what I don't want to do, is have it look too much like the photo, because this is a square and this is basically a rectangle. What I'm going to do is just kind of flatten everything out to make it fit. So we'll just get started and see what happens. I'll lay in a quick rough sketch just to get an outline, and we'll take it from there. And it'll be kind of shooting the breeze on the, in the meantime, which you are, I'm sure, accustomed to. Anyway, the background gets integrated into the foreground, or into the subject itself, so that some of the colors that are on the background, obviously, I'll be using in the finished painting. This is not the easiest way, but it certainly is a rewarding way of painting, because there are a lot of surprises and there are a lot of areas that I'll just leave. And these are going to be tulips. This is I'm big into still lifes lately. I've been doing a lot of horses and stuff, but I figured for the sake of studio, doing the show in the studio, we'll make it easy, and then easier for me and easier for everybody else, actually, and we can come up with something fairly quick and hopefully fairly successful. Okay, I get a rough outline in there. Now what I want to do is lay in the darks, and let's see. I had to scrounge up some old stuff I had kicking around the house today, because I came in directly from home down the other side of town, the other side of the center, I should say. Most of my stuff is in my studio in Boston. Actually had a trip to Provence this past fall, October, which worked out very well, and planning on going back again in October for another 14 days. Anyway, the important thing is, once you become proficient enough at painting and you know color and you pretty much know what you're doing, and you're free to just kind of follow the paint, as it were. Just throw it on and see what happens. Just lay a color down and see where that'll lead you, and then just keep going. That's all. I'm going to push the paint around. I use a medium, which I've told you about, I'm sure, 1,000 times. I haven't had 1,000 shows, but we're working on it. Anyway, this is the bottle of it's liquid. It's a gel medium. It's like a gloss, whatever, medium that helps the paint. It extends the paint, and it also gives a kind of a nice working surface. Okay, I don't know if I'll have a cast shadow or not. I'll take some of that green and throw it in there. I'll see some of the orange that's up in here, up in the background that's on the canvas. I'll be using as part of the flowers. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to go jump right into the flowers. And I'll use some liquid again. Maybe throw in a little white, cadmium red, and just drop them in real quick like that. This is more of a cadmium red. And then we'll get into alizarin crimson up in here. I don't want to get too heavy with the liquid. It tends to, although it's great, it tends to flatten the paint out a little bit. So we'll get into some other areas. I'll wipe some of this stuff back and show you some neat things as we go along. Anyway, if you ever get a chance to go to southern France, I would highly recommend it. It's absolutely beautiful. Food's great. People are nice, contrary to what you hear. They're very nice people. Let's see. Okay. Might be through this thing sooner than I thought. Anyway, the background I'll bring up. That'll become part of the painting. Let's see. Lay all the flowers in first. I'm going to mix a little of the cadmium red light with orange, cadmium orange. We'll mix the two together, which will give me a more vibrant red orange. As you can see, where the yellow is actually becoming part of the painting. I just want to keep this nice and loose. As I say, it's going wider. Actually, it's probably the same width on the top, but I've cut down the depth of the vase itself. Let's see. You know, if any of you have any questions, I'm not going to answer them now, but, you know, feel free to, you know, send any questions in about painting, about the paint process, about anything you like, and I'd be glad to answer them. You know, you can just send it to the cable station here, Walpole Cable. And I don't know, I've never mentioned it before, but I would certainly be glad to assist. And anybody has any questions about painting in general or whatever, be glad to answer your letters. Things are going pretty well in Boston. The art market is, for the winter, it's been a little soft, but you kind of get through that and pick up again as the weather gets better. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm going to drop some dark into the side of the vase in here. I'm taking some indigo and cobalt blue. I just want to run the shadow side. Kind of a nice, rich color. I want to have one dark and one light side, obviously. I'm going to add a little bit of this dark color to the Viridian green, this indigo, and then we'll get this side and the dark part of this. The basis for the color is for the shadow is green, whereas this, it's blue, so I went blue with the indigo. Here I'm going, obviously, Viridian green with indigo. Yeah, it runs about like that. Okay. Now, just for, oh, okay, let me get a couple things done here, and then I want to explain some things about pulling color out of the out of some of these and letting the background color come through. It gives it a little more depth. But we'll get into that in a flash. I brought some photos too. I thought I'd like to show maybe at the next show, the next impression show. My some of my photos from a trip to France. Actually, we stayed at Saint-Remy, which is not too far from Arles. It's in southern France. Saint-Remy, you want to call it that, which was where Van Gogh spent his last year before he moved closer to Paris, about a year before for his demise. Anyway, beautiful place. I painted in the olive grove where he where he was staying. He was at a sanitarium there, and the olive grove is the same as it was when he painted it. Those trees go on forever, I guess. They live hundreds of years. And got a chance to paint the same scene. I wish I had brought them with me. I did about 6 or 7 paintings on location. But anyway, part of our stay was visiting. Actually, you could visit the room where he stayed his last year, and it still looks the same. And beautiful view from the window. There are no men inmates anymore. There are just women. They've closed down the men's section. And at the time I went in there, they were actually having a class. The inmates were having a class. They're painting class, and in the little area, they have a little room where you can buy stuff, and one of the things that they were selling were paintings that were done by the women, expressionist paintings. Now, these people have, some emotional disorder. So, but the paintings some of them were really magnificent. They weren't impressionist. They were more expressionist, more naive art, as you would call it. Really, really quite good. Okay, I'm still building this. Here's where the background is starting to interfere with the overall shape, but I'm going to integrate that and see what happens. This is actually part of the leaves. I think I might leave this out, this side, pardon the pun, and maybe just build it up on this side, over here. Again, it's adjusting as you go along. Just, like I say, follow the paint. Like Milton Resnick says, where are we? Oh, there I am. Follow the light. Anyway, one of the abstract expressionist painter, painted with de Kooning and they're all good friends hanging around in New York. But one of his big things was in his feeling about paintings were that the painting is what the paint does. So I probably have mentioned this a few hundred times, but it's what happens to the paint when it hits the canvas that's more important than the subject matter or anything. Now here I'm getting a little bit of violet, kind combination of alizarin crimson and ultramarine, not ultramarine, cerulean blue. I looked in my bag of tricks this morning, and I didn't have any ultramarine blue, so just have to substitute with cerulean for the day. And again, draw with a brush. Don't fuss around and, think you have to put every little last detail in. Go from general to specific. In other words, keep it very loose. Let's see. It's good to hear, or good to see. We have some plein air painters in the town. I saw in the cover of the Walpole Times, a painter out there painting, I guess, over near Memorial Pond. I know, it was actually the center of near the police station. That's great. It's great to see. I don't see enough of it. I miss it. I haven't been painting much outside at all. Just strictly staying with the studio stuff. Okay. Now the process slows down because I've got everything just about laid in that I want so far. It's actually a short shadow that's cast, and I think I'm going to put that in. And if it works, fine. If it doesn't, I'll get rid of it. And that's this shadow that runs in, right in this area. Put in some of that shadow just to start getting some definition. Looks kind of interesting in the light. Yeah. Now again, if you don't get the color the first time, no big deal. Rather than trying to nail that color and, oh gee, it doesn't match. Just put something down, something close, and then remember that you can go back in it later on and whatever, and just keep adjusting it. So, no big deal. I'm just going to see what happens here, that's all. This might be a little too big. Oh yeah, I told you earlier what I was going to do was, which camera am I on? Yeah, back on camera. Anyway, and let's say that I want to show more of the orange in one of these, right? All I do is wipe it back, wipe out some of the color, and get back to the canvas and the underlying color, which gives it a nice luminosity. Paint tends to get heavy, if you have one layer over another. So if you can pull areas out and keep going, because this going for the light. Because what happens is there's an opacity. Obviously, it's opaque, but the acrylic paint itself is very transparent. Well, it's a different quality, and it's a lot brighter, as you can see. Now I can't repeat that brightness by painting over it with oil. So I want to salvage that light. I want to salvage as much of that as I can. So if I want, let's say I want this to be a little more interesting, so I can pull a little bit of that out. Just wipe it out. Do a lot of wiping back with the paint, and then also the background comes through, so doesn't look as if it's pasted on, but more integrated and more depth to it. Okay. Use anything at your disposal, to get the job done. All right, now. All right, sound like Bill O'Reilly. I'll knock this back here. Okay, now some of this stuff in here, it might work. If you were to think about it and paint that, all these accidents can be integrated into the painting and really look nice. Because at the time you're painting this image, last thing in the world you're thinking about is painting some kind of a nondescript. I hope you get, what I'm trying to explain. So a lot of these accidental things that happen when you're laying them in become part of the painting, and they become a really nice part of it. I'm not advocating you leave the whole thing, but maybe elements of it, or maybe the whole thing. It depends. You have to keep on looking at this painting all around, over and over again. Okay. I'm going to throw a stem in here and there just for the heck of it, and maybe a cast shadow in there. But it's a thing that you just keep on going round and round, checking how this works with that, and I'm going to take some of that red and I'm going to throw it in here. I don't know why, but it just, it just might look better. All right. Now some of this is when you start using just creative, just push the paint around and see what happens. Now that value of this is so much greater than that. I'm talking in terms of lightness and darkness. So what I want to do is go a little lighter there. And I want it to be in that family because I really like that green. So I'm using an inexpensive paint. It's a student grade paint just for this particular green. It's called Winton. Now see some of the things that happen in here, like this wiping this back. You couldn't paint that in a million years. So the process of wiping it back, getting a smudge in there, and then putting this paint down creates a different kind of energy. And if there's one thing you want in your painting is energy. You don't want something that's dull and lifeless. You want a lot of energy in it. So I think the amount of energy that you expend laying the painting in and really moving and pushing the paint around is reflected in on the painting itself. I might leave that red in, I don't know. Who knows, but okay. Now this tells me that I'm going to have to go a little darker in this shadow area here, right in here. So I'm going to go back in and again make the adjustment, go a little darker, but the same basic purple. Pull this in around here. Now this is starting to lose shape, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kill the whole thing. I can't stand that even at this point in the painting. I just want to start using less of the liquid and just use the paint and start pushing the paint around. I want to get back to the shape of the vase itself. And I don't care if it's drawn right or not drawn right. That's all stuff that can be done. You can adjust as you go along. All you have to do is get that critic out of your head, Everybody carries that little critic around. Tells you not to give up your full-time job. Anyway. Well, the purple is a great complement to the yellow as well, so I might leave some of those side drips and maybe some of that white in there. Not too sure about that orange, but you know what? I'm going to paint it in, and then if it doesn't work, I'm going to paint it out. So, big deal. That'll kind of pick up the shadow of that. this here. I'll pick up the shadow of the flowers, or the stems, I should say, the green part. All right, if this starts getting a little heavy in here, I'll wait for a while, but if it does, I'm going to go back in and wipe it out. What I'm going to do is get a little more of the red, what is this, the alizarin crimson, I guess, and yeah, I guess that's about it. Alizarin, yeah, a little bit of cadmium red light. Excuse me, I'm going to go throw that back in there. Again, just get kind of an impression of what you see. I mean, pop that red a little bit more, you know, make it really jump. And maybe go a little darker with the red on the other side. I'm going to add a little bit of alizarin crimson. I think we had a little bit of orange with that too, didn't we? So I'm going to break that. That'll be kind of a nice counterbalance to the right side without being too obtuse. Okay. Now, it's actually coming up pretty fast. All right, what else we got? Again, I want to integrate colors, start refining a little bit. Let me pull out some of these things going on with the leaves. Oops, that's a little too light, or too blue and too white. So we'll go back and start putting the light back in. This gives you an idea of pretty much how to set up the painting. Hopefully you get something out of this one, out of this session, and we'll just keep going. Yeah, kind of winding down. I got the old 1 minute thing. So we'll just keep going on the next one. I hope you got something out of this session, and join us again for another impression show. This is Bill St. George. Thanks for coming along. Bye-bye now. I'll throw some people in. And just quick as I can, throw color in. Throw some white in there. Would have made my life easier if I didn't make such a busy background to begin with, but hey.
Told you not to.
Thank you. Mr. Hood said I told you not to. Little does he know. He's going to have to swim back. Okay.